Tiffany, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Garvey.
Present.
Councilwoman Workala.
Present.
Councilman Brennan.
Present.
Councilman Hergel.
Present.
Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum for Tuesday, May 28, 2024. Sorry. We'll run right into recognizing person in the audience. Would somebody like to get up and speak? Come on down.
Get over my nerves in a hurry here. Do you want me to sign this? You know
Sure.
who I am.
Yeah, I know who you are. Just state your name.
My name's Rod Dudley. And I just wanted to, Mayor, Council, and the citizens. First of all, I want to thank, let me read it because I'm too nervous to actually. Thank you for responding to nearly all my questions through text and email. When I do a group email, I realized that you can't really respond because it causes a quorum. So I can respect that. So I've learned to email individually, and most of the time everybody responds, and I appreciate that too. The mayor has said he wants to be transparent, and so do we, as citizens, as who we are. Tonight, my comments are directed to Councilman Brennan. During the last council meeting on May 14th, you had said you did not want to point anyone out in the audience or ask a rhetorical question. But you did. You first looked at for Brandon McCarthy, realizing he was no longer present. You turned to me and said, "Rod, why haven't you guys pursued the county commissioners about not videotaping their meetings and make them public?" And my response is, it wasn't my allotted time to say anything. Speaking outside of this 3 minutes, I had to sit there and feel like I was cornered. I didn't feel that was fair. So in the future, if you want to talk to me, invite me to talk, any of you. So here's my, I already said that. Recording the response that I would have given you is, we do a lot already. You read about us all the time. All of you do. All the city does. And our goal here is to help the city learn how to work with you and work with how it operates. Our goal too is, if there's anything that we say or do, please, you know how to get a hold of us. We've made ourselves available to you, and the last thing we want to do is misinform people. We get our information from where everybody else in town could get it, through Tiffany. I share it myself once I get a packet. So I would like just this courtesy of, planning and zoning is beyond what we can handle right now. We know that they don't record it, and we can only handle planning and zoning. I said planning and zoning, county commissioners. But anyway, we appreciate everybody reading and recognizing us. But what's most important to us is to be transparent and inform citizens with truth. Thanks, guys. You can have a copy of this if you really want it. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on down, sir.
Need the address or anything?
No,
We're good.
you're good though.
My name's Don Gust. I just want to compliment you guys for finally, I don't know who did it, but another friend, I guess he heard something, I don't know if you had an advertisement or something on the radio or whatever, reach out to the public. And he heard it. And you guys finally responded to the sidewalk there at the golf course, so it's a good job there. Took out more than one panel and he fixed it. And that was a pretty bad trip hazard there anyway. So I just wanted to say that. He didn't even know anything about it and he seen it. And however you guys reached out there, it's working. I don't know what you did. And I forget what I was doing the other day. It's on something different anyway, but I missed your guys' equipment rodeo anyway. I don't know how it turned out, if you're putting anything out in the paper or what, but hopefully it turned out all right. That's it. Thank you.
We'll run down to conflict of interest declaration. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact? Oh, sorry, come on down, sir.
My name is Jeff Eisenbauer. I've never been to a council meeting before. My homeowner here in Mountain Home. And unfortunately I'm disabled, so I'm on a limited income kind of thing. And I need assistance. So I put a little ad out to find someone to come and hook up their trailer on my, RV area that I have all the right hookups for, sewer, electrical, everything like that. So I found my friend here that was willing to come and help me out with, stuff. And then I got this letter that she has to move because there's a law against it. And I don't believe that law is very fair because not only in my situation, but there are a lot of people in her situation that can afford to rent a house with the housing crisis, and all the RV parks in Mountain Home are full. So it's kind of like a symbiotic thing. She's helping me with my chores that I can't do, and I'm helping her with a place to stay. But I wasn't aware that there's a law against it. And I'm wondering, with the current housing situation and people like her, that she works at the Pilot gas station, so obviously she's not making enough to rent a house. What is the city going to do about people in my situation and in her situation? Is there any way we could make a law that if you have the proper hookups and everything needed for someone to live in, maybe have a health inspection that this trailer is healthy for someone to live in, and maybe an annual fee, that this is the charge to have someone live in your approved hookup situation for an RV, that'll give the city more revenue, and it'll give people like me, people like her, to help. And it'll also help people like her find places they could stay. Because unfortunately, she went through a situation where she lost her other half, and all she was left with was a trailer because she didn't end up getting the home that they shared. So now it's put us both in a bind. And I appreciate your time.
So Jeff, you want to write your number down there, and something the council can talk about?
All right.
Mayor,
Councilwoman Garvey?
can we get a copy of that too?
Yeah,
Whether through Chris or whomever.
it's probably out of the building department.
Okay, that'd be super.
Do you guys want a copy of the letter?
Can I see it for 2 seconds? Let me take just... Okay, I'll get it. There you go, sir.
Sorry for being
No, you're good.
emotional.
Thanks, Jeff. Anybody else? All right. Run down to conflict of declaration. Has any council member received information pertaining to or otherwise had any contact with any person regarding any items on the city council agenda? If so, please set forth nature of contact.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
I received a couple emails regarding the old business #1 on action item, golf course concession, from Jamie Lawson, and I would butcher the last name if I'm being honest, of Mr. I believe it's Christolas. But that's that.
Thank you. All right. We'll run down to consent agenda. Council, Councilman Brennan wanted to pull I?
Just,
Okay. And council, is there any other ones you want to talk about, pull, get more clarification on?
yeah.
Councilman Brennan?
In addition to I, I'd like to pull H, and then I just have a question on J.
Okay. Wanna ask it?
Paul, question for you in the planning and zoning brain. I'm not really used to seeing a whole packet of HOA rules come before us as a final plat. Is that anything the council needs to pay any attention to, or because
No.
it's their own private?
It's their own, well, I don't know who submitted it, but that used to be,
Silverstone North.
so that used to be required to submit in different cities, like back in the 90s and 2000. No, by the 2000s it stopped. But they would have their CCNRs, they would have their HOA stuff, they would give it to all of us. And then city council members would be like, well, I don't like that provision. And then, you know, you watch lawyers like me start to cringe, going, that's private between the eventual lot homeowners and their elected officials, their elected folks for their little board. So no, we don't care. I mean, the only reason that it was purported to be submitted to like me beforehand is to make sure there wasn't something that was directly in contradiction to our ordinances. But again, what am I supposed to do about it if it is? So, no, it's okay that they put it in there. That used to be done all the time.
Okay. If a citizen, living there finds something that they think is illegal, they bring it to us. We're like, is that illegal? You say yes. Does the council even have the authority
We
to
have no control over
strike that?
No, we have no control over
Okay.
it.
Sit down. Okay. All right, council, if no further questions, comments, polling items H and I, I have a motion to approve consent as printed.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed, pulling H and I.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman McGarvey?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
All right, run down to old business. I think Councilman Harjo, you wanted to
Mayor,
probably go ahead.
I think there's room for a quick discussion in tabling this. In our last discussion where we'd left off, we were pending some investigation into feasibility to break off utilities. Materially, there's not a whole lot left, at least from my perspective, to discuss in this moment until we have some more context from that part. I think that was really the bulk of what could affect contract or what we ask.
And Councilman, we have Ted getting that for you.
Yes.
Okay. So council, if you don't mind tabling that till the next, is that copacetic?
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan?
Could I just throw in a couple thoughts so everybody can ponder it before we come back from
You bet.
to the next one? As I promised, I went through the Councilman Harjo's kind of highlighted, maybe suggested edits based on our comments. So basically, if I just give my 2 cents really quick, and maybe people can take time to think on it if they want to, but I'll kind of just openly, I guess, but talk to Councilman Harjo a lot, is the first page, if you can see where I've highlighted here, section C, D, and E. My thought is just to strike that entirely since we're not renewing a contract. No matter what, our result is to create a new contract. So strike those sections out entirely. And I think as you've already done, anywhere that it says the 3 years, change it to the 2. I haven't touched any of the financial section yet, based on further discussion. Under paragraph 6A, what I did is I basically highlighted in one color what I like when there's an option, and one color that I didn't like. And so under paragraph 6A, I'll just say I like the changes that are underlined and like what you've struck out. Same thing for paragraph 7. I like the change you made there in its entirety. Paragraph 8, I like what you suggested. Maybe best to say I like everything. I'll tell you what I don't like. Is that easier?
If that list is short.
Paragraph 12, maintenance of area outside clubhouse. The very last sentence says on a regular basis. I feel like we can define what a regular basis is, because I think that's vague. Paragraph 13, windows and ceiling fans. You wrote a note basically said we shouldn't reference another contract in there, so my notes just say the sentence, the golf pros agreed to be responsible for cleaning the windows on the inside of the clubhouse. Just delete that. Regardless, somebody needs to clean the windows. And Paul, were you able to get us any info on other city ordinance background checks?
Oh, no, I have not. I will do that. Sorry about that.
Utilities, I'll wait for that further conversation. I highlighted that too. On the option to renew, paragraph 19, one thing that wasn't highlighted was second to last sentence. It talks about no later than 90 days prior to the end of the previous term that she elects. If we can leave that neutral, since we're writing a new contract, maybe, that the concessionaire elects.
Sure.
Under paragraph 22, maintenance of equipment, I wrote a note to myself that we should say something to the effect of the replacement item, right? If it can't be fixed and it has to be replaced, the replacement item must be ordered without delay, but subject to the regular meeting schedule of the city council, so that we're not mandated to come in on an emergency meeting to buy something. And then maybe a question for the mayor or for Paul. Under insurance policies, paragraph 29B, it says the insurance must be furnished within 30 days of this agreement. So that means they could technically operate for 30 days without insurance. Is there any way to take control of an insurance policy between signing and between the effective date of the policy? I know, like, if once they signed it, it's binding, but maybe it hasn't gone into effect as a start date yet. I don't like, as I read it, it says you can be in operation for 30 days without insurance.
I didn't read it that way, but I understand why you read it that way, and I see that. I've read that particular paragraph in that form on hundreds of different agreements. What that says to me is that the insurance policy shall be furnished within 30 days. Not that you're enormously at risk if you have a business and you're operating for 30 days without insurance at the very beginning. That would be not smart.
That burden is on us since it's our building and most of our equipment.
Right. I mean, you can, but I understand why you read it that way. I just never read it that way in all these years. But what I would say is, what is it, contractor or concessionaire shall provide during the entirety of this agreement, concessionaire shall provide insurance in the amounts not to be less than, and then the numbers and all that. Concessionaire shall furnish said agreement within 30 days.
Okay.
Now
Says they have to have it, you have to give it to us.
Yeah. So now you touch base, but all that sentence is always there saying we want a copy of it.
Okay.
And then we sometimes ask that to be named insured on it as well. So
It does say that. Okay. And that's all I have. So if you guys want to chew on that a little bit, then I'd be fine with going to the financial discussion and utilities, I guess.
All right. So we're gonna move to new business. Good. Okay. Items removed, which was H and I. Councilmember Brennan, you want to start out with H?
Chief, thanks for coming down here. I had the opportunity, for the rest of the council, I had the opportunity to meet with the chief regarding this agenda item. I feel like I got a lot more value out of the discussion than I got from the memo here, in terms of like a proposed payment plan and how many years this will take. And so I hope we could I can kind of engage in that same conversation with everybody, because I believe this will go beyond my time on the council. But Chief, jumping into the payment plan, I guess, right? Could you just, instead of me trying to get it wrong, will you say how you intend to pay for this and the upfit of the truck?
Sure, absolutely, Mayor, Council. So the plan that you have before you tonight is something that have been working on for some time in terms of the type of truck. Been able to work with the rural fire commissioners, and they are all in at 40% of the total purchase of the apparatus, at 40% of all everything that goes on the apparatus, repairs and everything, they're 40% on, much like our contract is. The only thing where we have a difference in that is the tower, and that tower is at 50%. Given the amount of fires and given everything, given our relationship, I felt like 40% on their part was one less encumbersome on people trying to figure out how much percentage off of this, keep everything the same, and also it's fair. So the proposal that I have on this thing that you're looking at there is I wanted to get a payment on this budget cycle. I'll be asking for a payment, round numbers, $154,000 and change on this 24-25 budget, and then I'm asking for the remainder of 323, 324, whatever that is, in the fiscal year 25-26 to have that paid off. The method for that I have there for that is we have a bit of an apparatus issue that we've had since 2005. We bought 3 2005 engines at the same time. So replacing those things in the schedule is kind of where that comes in, where that 26 would come in. The fiscal year 26 would come in, would be in a way of replacing apparatus by taking one of those engines out of service, send it over to Hughes Fire Equipment, where we get all of our maintenance and everything done now, and having an engine completely refurbished. That project can take anywhere from 1 to 2 years, depending on what they get into. At which time this truck would basically sit in its place while that other truck was out of service. When that truck gets back, we would do the same thing with another engine. After that, we'd be timed out on our engines. And just to touch on that briefly, not to kill you with NFPA standards, but a standard truck engine is frontline service for 15 years. It becomes NFPA standard. It becomes a second due engine at up to 20 years. And then recommended replacement at 25 years. So it would become basically a nothing but a support engine by NFPA standards. I'm not going to sit here and imply that we put anywhere near the miles or the wear and tear on an engine that those standards are built largely around. But still, there are planned obsolescence built in everything. We have electrical components, we have pumps, we have all these other things that in time are going to give us grief. You'll see a slight increase in our apparatus line this year due to maintenance or increased maintenance costs that we're going to incur, just like anything. But that's why the aggressiveness on the payment. It's kind of a history for us. We paid engine 12 off 3 years early, and we paid tower off. I believe that was 6 to 7 years early. Getting that off by just being aggressive with the payments to get them down, so we could proceed to unbury ourselves from 3 engines in a row. Does that make sense?
Chief, really quick, when you
Sure.
when you refurbish an engine, how long is it good for under the NFPA standards to continue to serve for? Is it a primary engine or only as a secondary then?
No, thank you, Mayor Council. That would be a primary engine that would come through. We'd get a new pump. We'd get all those things. That and coincidentally enough, the NFPA standard and the ISRB rating are two separate things, but one doesn't hinge on the other. You can have a 1985 pumper over there as long as it's passing pump tests and spraying water and there's no issues with it. It doesn't time out. Technically, it doesn't time out. Other than the standard is there for a reason, and for legal issues and things like that, I think that it's always best practice to stay within, at least on paper.
I think you lost me there. After you refurbish one of those 3 fire engines, how long is it good for service purposes?
The guess on this thing, nearest guess that I got on this thing off of kind of a broad conversation with the tech on the refurbished thing, but I'm guessing 10 years.
Okay.
So my hope on that thing would be to get to the 10 years on that thing. I think over the course of the 2 engines that we could save the taxpayers easily $1.5 to $2 million worth in engines for that period of time.
Okay. So for the WUI now, am I saying that right?
Yes.
WUI. 2 years. The first payment will order the chassis. Is that right? The first.
Technically, Mayor Council, the first, in talking with the rural, because of how our budget cycle is, we're on kind of a time constraint of this thing, trying to get this in before we get a price increase. But I've been balancing between them and meetings here to get this before you. But the rural is prepared to pay the chassis payment up front. They'll have that payment where it's done. When we, upon approval of our budget, we'll be able to get the other money down on the engine and then pay for it in full. The rural intends on 3 different payments to have it paid for in the same time frame that we do.
It's a lot of information. So the rural is going to order the chassis, right, entirely, and then when it comes in, the two agencies will pool the money appropriately, 60-40, to outfit the truck.
No, everything, all the building, all the planning, everything has gone into this truck. We had a fire committee that the Chairman Alan Roberts sits now on the Rural Commission. He was part of that planning committee for a while. He didn't attend for whatever reason some of the other meetings that we had, but by and large it was built and designed by firefighters and officers who were part of that process. So the engine is an engine that we own. We take the engine and we possess the engine and make those things. I'm just saying that the rural commissioners have agreed to make that first payment for the chassis to get that paid, which saves us, I think, in the long run. It's going to save both entities $5,000 and change for prepaying for the chassis. Is that
I feel like this is way different than what you and I talked about. That's why I'm like lost right now.
Go ahead, Tiff.
Chief, I'm gonna help you.
Please.
So, the city of Mountain Home will order the piece of equipment. Right now, we have a pretty firm commitment from the rural fire district that they're gonna engage. That's the purpose of the draft, is their attorneys reviewing. So we need to get some firm documents to the vendor to get the chassis ordered to save the 5,000 savings. Because we don't have funds allocated in this current cycle to make that chassis payment, which we have to get to manufacturing, the rural fire district is coming up with those funds immediately.
Okay.
Okay, and then as we go into this next budget cycle, so tomorrow in your book, you'll have the first payment coming from the City of Mountain Home Funds to pay in October our first portion of the payment. And then the rural fire district will make their $100,000 payment as well.
So tomorrow you're going to ask us for approval for the 24-25 budget and the 25-26 budget. With those two payments will be done.
Correct.
It'll be paid off.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's the purpose of the memo was just to let you to notify you all that this is going to be a future allocation, again, another request in an upcoming budget.
Can I continue?
Yes, sir.
Chief, what's the storage availability for yet another apparatus as far as indoor covered storage?
Indoor covered storage is going to be fine. I mean, we're looking at different things for stations and placement currently every day. So one, we're not going to have that issue per se until September timeframe of 26. So we do have room to maneuver and make different decisions. But we'll have one engine that's going to time out somewhere. So that's something we could possibly sell. The other, the rural is also they can house an engine. They have plans on expanding to house more apparatus themselves, and that's kind of where we're at.
How many open bays do we have now between city and rural? 'Cause I know, like, we were storing a fire engine at the county rescue building, and that's no longer the case.
Correct.
I don't know where that fire engine went to, but
Yeah.
as of right now, how much open space do we have?
Mayor, council, we don't have any open space. We may be able to, to be honest with you, I think that the ladder truck is going to come to an end. It's reaching the end of its serviceable life, and even as a flagpole, we still have that thing. So I anticipate that that'll be out of service in the next 2 years or so.
What year is that engine?
It's an 89.
Yeah. And it's already gone through a refurbishment process?
No, Mayor, council, no, that is not. That wasn't anything that I don't think any of my predecessors were aware that was out there, that was available for one. For another, that's an awfully old engine that the city purchased a long time ago, and it had quite a few miles on it then. So that's one of the advantages to our new trucks that we had, the 2005. We've had them since day one. So that would be an immediate hole that we'd have for that thing, because all we're really doing that thing for would be for a secondary aerial master stream, because we won't use the pump. It won't pass pump certification, and then we'll take it to certain events to fly the flag on a selected groups or events that request it.
So it currently doesn't pass pump test?
Yes, that's correct. Well, they had to work really hard to get it. They had to cool the water off to make it pass pump test. So it's not something that would be. And we know that. And I mean, we'd run. And most engines, you have ladders in the country where they don't even have a pump on them. They just get their water through an engine and a hydrant system. So that's how that works.
I'm hesitant to. I think that's a conversation worthy of its own for getting rid of fire apparatus. I don't know the costs at all. I'm not the expert by any means for getting rid of them, and that sounds like a really old engine. But I could also see the value of having two ladders for the city and rural, and we're getting a lot of 3-story apartment buildings, and I mean, you know them as well as I do how much big infrastructure we're building and have already built. So it makes me hesitant to move forward on another apparatus not having a place to store it either right now. And I know that's a 2026 issue that's the estimated delivery date, 26. What do you have in like your master plan as far as storage? Because we haven't talked about a new firehouse or anything and all that.
Mayor, council,
I'm confident we'll come up with a garage to store a truck, but
right.
I don't want to put the cart in front of the horse.
Right, and in the budget process, that is something certainly that's going to be a matter of discussion. But as far as housing, for one, I've got an item on my budget line on the professional fees that I'm seeking to get a building assessment on our current building over here to find out what it's capable of doing in the way of reconstructing and growth. Say we have no other place, and just see what our options are. If we could go, I'm asking for an option on a third story. I'm asking for an option on different living quarters. If we end up going to a paid on call and full-time department down the line. And then also for a bay on the side of the building over at this building right here. We also have in our impact fees. We've got money there. We've got our eye on that. We took I've taken several trips and looked at stations in Boise and Meridian. The mayor and some went on a trip over to Twin Falls on their grand opening of their station. We looked at their funding mechanism that they had. So it's certainly something, I realize it's a big apple, but it's something that we're working on. It's in front of us.
Mayor, have the fire impact fees been touched yet, or are there any plans in this next budget cycle to spend from that pot?
We haven't touched any of them that I know of. We haven't used it for anything, and I think he's trying to get his plan ready to utilize those for maybe, like I said, another bay, the third story, or how do we modify what we currently have to house the future?
Exactly.
Is what am I trying to say? Is there any other apparatus that is on your radar to get rid of other than the first ladder truck? Are they all doing great?
Currently, Mayor, Council, yeah, everything's fine. We're not having an issue, maybe you weren't aware of that, but it's not been an issue in terms of the ladder that I've been silent about, because we can work around the problems in terms of pumping water out of our ladder. So we don't have any apparatus issues that we have. What we have is just, I think, where we fell short prior. We fell short over the years in keeping a normal apparatus replacement schedule. That's my plan. That's my deal. The next guy sitting in the seat for me may have something else for you.
And have you heard, does the rural have any immediate plans to expand a building for storage? Apparatus storage?
Mayor, Council, I don't want to speak for them, but I've had conversation that yes, that is something that they intend to get working on sooner than later. They're jammed up too.
I'm good. If anybody else has anything.
Council, anything for Chief? All right. Council, what do you want to do for H?
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Rural Fire District and the city for the shared purchase of a wildland urban interface engine.
Second. Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I ask the maker of the motion and the seconder with two changes that legal made to it, which didn't make it into the packets, unfortunately. The first one was, it says that we pay 60%, they pay 40% of both the purchase price and then in the maintenance. But then if it's sold later, it was 50-50, and I'm like, why wouldn't it be split up 60-40 again?
Right.
And then the second one is in the termination provision. It does and should say that either party may terminate pursuant to non-appropriation, standard spiel in that. However, the non-appropriating party may still be responsible for certain, basically closing costs or winding up the effect. Like if one falls through, somebody's left holding the bag, and so there might be penalty provisions. There might be expenses there that person doesn't, that entity doesn't get to walk out.
Mayor, I will correct my motion to approve item H through interlineation of legal's comments to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Rural Fire District and the city for the shared purchase of a wildland urban interface engine with legal's edits.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Mayor, Councilman Brennan?
Chief, can I just ask, would you have any objections if I track down one or two members of rural to to get their timeline on creating another like fire engine storage building? Just so,
No, I have absolutely no objection to that. Thank you.
just so I can kind of plan in my head, and I know this is just the MOU, but the budget's tomorrow, right? So I might try to do that if you don't object.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
All right, we'll run down to item I. Councilman Brennan?
I'm all over the place today. I apologize. This is a couple questions here that we've talked about with our own like City Hall credit card processing systems. On this one, is it any different or come from a different server where we can pass on that fee of the credit card? Because it can go up to 5, where did I read it? 5.5 or something percent per card swipe. 5.9% maximum percentage for a card swipe there. So is that one that we can pass on to the user?
We go to Paula, because I don't have that.
I can go get her.
Sorry, just trying to finalize some stuff for budget. Oh yeah, I gotta say that. Paul, all fees that we do, obviously there's a public hearing for them. We do all that good stuff. So we'd have to do a public hearing for this one since it's a new fee. What we're doing is quintessentially. So Paul, Councilman Brennan had is there a way to pass on, for example, the 5.4% or the charge to the customer? You know what I mean, the processing fee?
We would have to talk to whoever is the driver, who's driving the credit cards. We'd have to ask them. I don't know why we couldn't, but I don't think that was what was in that paperwork.
No, it's not. Yeah,
Yeah.
like 5.9% will add up. Not that they'll all be 5. That's the maximum percentage charged.
Right.
Will add up pretty quick.
We can ask them, or we can see. There's got to be a way we can disclose, like, hey, there's going to be a charge to use this machine.
Okay.
So, but that's through Core and Main. They're not the driver.
Right. It's a cantaloupe, I think.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to do a public hearing, even though we would charge them the normal rate that we already charge, but we have to do a public hearing for that charge too? You know what I mean?
You're going to put a fee on there.
Right.
The processing fee. There.
So the processing fee,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you just have to do a public hearing for processing.
Okay. If you want to charge that fee.
We can get some more information. I mean, I think we're just trying to move forward with, hey, it's a request, but we can get more information on processing the cards.
This is a pretty small part of the whole deal. I understand that. Have you guys ran any numbers to see like how long you think it would take to pay off this system based on current employee billing time and paperwork processing? It's kind of expensive.
Go ahead, Chris.
Mayor, Council, the thing, I'm not exactly sure how you would even do that.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is the current system that we have is an honor system. We have no idea really, truly how much water is going out.
Okay.
So I don't know how you would even get a swag on that. Right now there's a key, and you get a key, and it's on you to write down how many gallons you use, and they get billed every 6 months or so. But we know for a fact, which is why we're doing this, that no, we're not getting a true accurate number, so it's almost impossible to guess.
Yeah, I've seen a ton of people there, you know, just middle of the night type thing, filling up and
That's the
whatnot.
things we can't track. So
Okay. Do we know the lifespan of the equipment? Is it, you know, when I think putting solar on somebody's house, the solar panels are good for X amount of years, and right about the time that payment is being done. Okay. I don't have any like immediate issues. I've identified that myself a long time ago that it's basically uncontrolled. But how much does water cost at what everything they're going to install here? So those are my only questions.
All right. Go ahead.
Sorry. With the fee for water is clearly already established for the bulk rate, so we don't have to create a fee there. If we want to increase that fee for bulk water, does that create a public hearing requirement?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good question. The reason I'm asking this question is why, and I think Councilman Harjo and I had this question, I asked him, like, why do we charge a bulk rate fee that's far less than your normal water usage rate fee, right? I don't understand. It still costs the same to whether I'm pumping it out of my house or pumping it out of the bulk rate area. Is it, I guess I just don't understand why we charge a bulk rate, like given a discount, especially when water is liquid gold out here in Mount Home. So that was all the question I think I had for bulk rate versus normal rate. So
This is a great question. Can you put that on our next topic or agenda to discuss that? If everyone's willing.
Mayor,
go ahead, Councilman Harjo.
depends on how big of a can we want to open. I've had some similar ideas rolling around about how we charge for, like say RV parks, for instance, is a unique situation where we bill with the intent of, we bill the RV park with the intent at the first 6 months, it's a quarter EDU. And then if an RV is there more than 6 months, that rate goes up to, is it 3/4 of an EDU? But we have no mechanism to track that at all. So we either have a policy that doesn't work for us because we don't have a tracking mechanism, and or we are not charging enough, or we're charging fairly for those instances, and the idea that it goes up is somewhat useless anyways. So if we want to open a can of worms on water, we could. There's half a dozen other topics we could cover. If we want to chip away at it and get one at a time, we'll just put this one on there.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Garvey?
Before your Kitty left, because we had the EDU discussion, there was going to be something put into place, and I don't know if it maybe fell aside, but we have not looked at any of the businesses to make sure that they're being charged the correct amount of EDUs. And I do believe, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that something that we are supposed to do? There's a state statute, isn't it every 5 years, I believe?
I don't remember.
Anyway, yes.
Yes.
So that is something that we need to discuss and put back into a plan to do. Because we could be either overcharging or undercharging several businesses, RV parks, all of those guys.
Mayor.
Okay, we'll bring those.
Yeah, remember we talked about that. Yeah.
Mayor.
Okay, Councilman Harjo.
Yeah, let's open the can of worms, because Councilwoman Garvey is absolutely correct. There are businesses that have essentially what could be considered a half bath and have no other water onus other than, a restroom and a hand washing station that are getting billed at one whole EDU. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So let's open the can of worms.
Okay. All right. Okay. Before we get into the weeds, or not to get back into the weeds, so what do you guys want to do with I?
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan?
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the bulk water fill station credit card reader system. Not making a contingency, but critically important that we need to address the rates next.
Second.
Before this gets installed.
Second.
So with this, then, do you want to set up? Well, let me have Paula get the details for the fees, and then we need to set up a public hearing for that.
Okay. I'm good with that.
What's the time frame, Chris, that takes to get that, anyways?
To get the parts and stuff, I'm sorry, Mayor, to get the parts, it's gonna be about 6 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Councilman Brennan, I didn't cut you off.
They're installing. Cora Main is installing it. Or,
Mayor, council, no, we're gonna install it.
oh, okay.
it's pretty simple installation. They're gonna program it for us though.
Okay.
And then the fee, you wanna, is that too, also you wanna try to set a,
How would I do that?
how do we do, no? We can't, because we didn't put it on here, so we'll bring it back, sorry.
Yeah, Mayor,
Or-
your July, or your July, I'm not even, your June 11th meeting I'll have it on there. And you guys can discuss the rates and the information, and then from there you can set a public hearing.
Okay. It's been motioned, do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
All right. Item 2 is being pulled at the request of Tiffany. Richard McKenna?
Dennis.
Dennis.
Dennis Wilson, the superintendent of Richard McKenna, asked that it be tabled until June 11th. We'll come back.
Okay, action item number 3, deliberation discussion regarding the request by United States Postal Service. Council?
Mayor?
Councilman Brennan?
Tiffany, we had a chance to talk. Are you addressing the bigger picture that you want to talk about or not today?
Are you talking on 3? Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, welcome to the meeting, too. Mayor, Council, you have a letter from the Postal Service. We have some, and I think I gave you a large map. Okay. So the problem we have is we have 2 addresses that are the exact same. And EMS is having a problem with it, and so is the Postal Service. So the dilemma is that is all Park Central, and it's all on one parcel of property with multiple different addresses. So originally it was Street E because years ago it had a hedge of plants that bordered the property all along it. Those have been removed and now they've been made into driveways. So we could change the address as the request from the Postal Services, or you can actually pay to have it curb, guttered, and sidewalked as it should have, and remove the access point that's right at that 4-way stop sign that really is not meant to be an access point out of their property. Unfortunately, that is going to cost some funds, and we'd have to budget it in the next cycle. Chris got some rough estimates, and I think it was in the 80,000 range to do that work from essentially what is North 2nd East to the 4-way. So we brought it to you guys this evening just
North 10th? Sorry.
well, it'd be on North 10th, but it's right here. It'd be from this area down.
Yeah, okay.
To see how you wanted staff to proceed with the request, either to readdress it or to look to do the curb and gutter.
Councilman Brennan?
Paul, is there anything in the code that suggests the property owner should curb gutter inside city limits? Like at their expense?
I know where you're going with this, but no. I mean, obviously, yes, for any development that's going to occur, it has to have curb, gutter, sidewalk. But after the fact, no.
Okay.
They're grandfathered in. Until if it becomes a valid non-conforming use and then they want to change something, then it kicks back in again. This is a very long legal answer, but so I'll just give you the short answer of no.
Okay.
Even though it's a yes, no.
Is there any chance the city has tried to find the original plat documents to show if there was an agreement that they would do that at a certain time? I know this is like really old, but I know in my past we've said to some, you have to curb and gutter it when
Absolutely.
X, Y, and Z happens.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Tiff.
I'm gonna assume that that agreement wouldn't have any of that information because the 3rd Street side doesn't even have sidewalk. It just is asphalt for there.
Councilwoman Workla?
So you said there were stipulations in the past where you have had people did their own curbing and gutter?
It's more
I thought
like-
it was up to the city and they had, the owner was responsible up to the curb. And the curb and gutter was for the city.
Councilman Brennan?
No, it's more like for like annexation, when somebody annexes out quite a ways, we tell them, as part of annexation, you're required to put curb gutter and sidewalk, but you're kind of an island out there on your own right now, so when your neighbors annex in and they put when the curb and gutter catches up to you, at that point, you're required to put it in.
In council, I'm almost gonna ask, is that road is, it's tore up. And we need to figure out a way to drain the water where it hits, what is that, North Second over there? What is it? And get it back into, correct me if I'm wrong, going back east, to get that off there. And then quintessentially, all of that should have curb gutter, sidewalk, asphalt. That's in a perfect world, that would be the ask. But for right now, just to do the E911 and kind of quintessentially fix that. I hate to say it, asphalt's cheap. It's the piping in the ground and moving all that is the expensive. So
Here.
Councilwoman.
Chris, did you say it was a request in the budget? And was it in the budget, did you say? Or it's not? And you said it's about 80,000 you're looking for?
I got a quote, it's $80,000 for one side.
That's one side. Both sides of it need done.
Oh, Mayor.
Councilman, hang on a second. Councilwoman
I'm
Garza.
sorry, Jen. Councilwoman Workla. Okay, a couple quick questions. First of all, is this road, or when is this road slated to be repaved? Because we don't want to put $80,000 into a project just to redo it again.
160.
So is it on?
Go ahead, Chris.
It's low.
Yeah, okay. And how much is the cost of redoing the addresses?
It shouldn't be that much. It's staff and then probably an angry resident that now has to change all of their.
Which resident is going to be changing?
Well, there's all of them in red are going to change to meet the number sequence. So that
Okay.
in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them.
Councilwoman Workla.
I'm just trying to think here. So when you say low on the priority list, like a year out, 2 years, like what's that? I don't even know what that means.
It's a few years out.
A few years out, okay. Yeah, well, if you say EMS issues, right? No, this needs to be, and I guess it would be up to us to bump this up on the priority list as council to approve this, get this to be bumped up on the priority list because of something like this. Is this something that we can talk about at the budget tomorrow or whenever we meet with you? Thursday?
I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, council, you guys wanted to use the master transportation as the catalyst. Those ones get done first, but let's say, I'm just playing devil's advocate, ITD says, well, we can't get you your lights this year, so then you take the next road on the list and vice versa. Is that how you guys wanted to go? I mean, there's always gonna be something. Let's say we budget it for Haskett and Haskett bid comes in $2 million over budget, then we could say, hey, the next one, that's why we put all of them in there as a list, and then if we can't do this one, we'll come back to you guys, can we do this one? If the budget comes back, we can, that kind of quantify it, and then at the end of the year, maybe there might be money left over, we come back and goes like, hey, we have the $160,000 for the curb gutter sidewalk and the $100,000 for the asphalt. Is that, and then, those are kind of the asks that we come back to you guys for. But correct me if I'm wrong, is that how you guys wanted to do it with the master?
Yes, for me.
Okay.
So then, I guess that would leave us with, they just need to change addresses then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tiff.
I can look for a parcel agreement in the meantime. Like this doesn't, it's urgent. I'm by all means with EMS an emergency, but if we want, we can table it and you guys can make a decision June 11th and I can look for the parcel information for you.
Mayor.
Councilman Brennan?
Tiffany, I don't think we need to table it. I think we can go forward with addressing. because we're not gonna put the sidewalk, sounds very clear, we're not putting the sidewalk in now, but if you stumble upon an agreement where they said they would do that, I'm sure it's changed hands and all sorts of stuff, but maybe just in case, we'll do our due diligence to look. And then my only other request was, can the city put a barricade in to prevent access from the corner there?
Mayor,
No.
we can. We're gonna make a lot of people very angry, but we can.
Is it really like they're using the corner of the sidewalk to get in there? Like they're entering?
Yeah, they just go, well, it shows it a road right here, an access. But ultimately, then they're just gonna divert onto that last homeowner to go out. So I don't think that's probably wise to do.
So they just cut.
Okay, I was thinking they were literally going on the corner into the intersection from the corner.
No, they just,
Okay.
well, I would assume they're driving on the ADA ramp.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
How do we protect that though? Like, is there no way without them driving on somebody else's property?
Go, Chris.
Mayor, we could put a bollard on the 8A ramp. That's about the only way we're gonna keep people off of it.
What will that cost?
Oh, those are cheap. We have a few sitting on the shelf.
I think that's in the best interest of everybody and like public safety and people using sidewalks and all that. Am I wrong?
So do you want it that way, or just where they can't drive on the sidewalk?
I'm not a pro. I don't know how these bollards work, but to protect our sidewalk oh, there it is. There.
So like right here, just or right here.
Based on that, I don't think they're driving across the ADA ramp. Is that an accurate picture?
Or are they
Right
driving like right here and then cutting it?
Yeah.
there. We'll wait on
The bollard.
that. Get the addressing going because the stop sign looks like a clear prevention from actually entering the property from the middle of the intersection.
It's pretty wide, Mayor.
Councilwoman.
If you drive by there, it's pretty wide where they go in. I mean, because they can't, I don't know, just drive by it. It's pretty wide.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would hope that people aren't four-wheeling over our sidewalks.
Well, I'm not wrong with it.
All right, council, do you guys want to just do the readdressing?
Yeah.
Councilman Brennan?
Yeah. Actually, I'll make a motion to approve the United States Postal Service's request to readdress the properties in question.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilwoman Garvey?
Aye.
Councilman Harjo?
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla?
Aye.
Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Awesome.
Mayor.
Real
Real fast, just so you guys know, the housekeeping process is, this is gonna come back as a resolution for you all to approve. So on June 11th, it'll come back with a resolution that just shows the number addressing per our ordinances, so.
The addressing. Mayor.
Councilman?
I don't know what our process is. Could, if you don't already, could you send a copy of the resolution draft to the E911 coordinator for the county so they are aware of the address changes?
For sure, I can do that, Mayor, Council. I do know that Hank's been working with them. This came out of Hank, actually, so.
Okay.
All right. Council, executive session.
That will be final comments.
Oh, final comment, sorry.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Workla?
Yeah, just curious, why do we not have department heads give updates anymore on the agenda? We haven't had it for the last, I think, 3 or 4 meetings.
Well, we can do it right now.
So we don't have them all here. So I guess my point is if we could bring that back. There's just certain things that I would like to hear, like, when I was looking through the budget, it said something about the library offering like passport services and stuff, and I don't know, it's just current updates that I would like to hear from the department heads. But is that something that you could put on the agenda moving forward?
Yep, and I will send you an email as well. I just clicked off.
Mayor.
Councilwoman Garvey?
I will make a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Idaho Code Section 74-206-1, subsection B. I'll read the rest.
Second?
Been motioned and second. Any further discussion? Hearing not, I'll call for the question. Councilman Brennan?
Aye.
Councilwoman Garvey.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Joe.
Aye.
Awesome. On into executive session.